It's our first match of the evening, but before we get into it, here's a quick introduction into both the teams.
Mais triple kill pra ele, quadra kill do Fantasy, vai buscar o ace.
Nossa, Miracle, no, Miracle, no!
We believe this is the moment to resume the campaign launched in the first stage. Meanwhile, on W7M's side, the record is not good against the team led by Lender. In the previous rounds, W7M suffered heavy losses to FURIA. First by 7-2, and in the last confrontation between the teams, a 7-3 on Shallow.
Com sucesso, olha o cover e o Fantasy decide na quadrada para a equipe da Fúria.
Today, however, both teams agree that it should be a more closely contested affair.
Acredito que o jogo de hoje contra a W7M vai ser um pouco mais complicado do que o último, porque hoje a line conta com jogadores mais entrosados e provavelmente que estão curtindo, tá jogando junto ali, e isso acaba gerando um clima muito melhor para se jogar uma partida oficial.
Nesse jogo agora contra a Fúria, eu acho que tem tudo para ser um jogão. No último confronto contra eles, a gente demorou para identificar como eles estavam jogando. Isso custou o mapa pra gente, e eu acho que tem tudo pra ser um jogo do Herds e o Case, onde eles vão se destacar em cima do Dogão.
Will today be another day for Fancy to shine, or will W7M show strength and surprise FURIA? Don't miss the following match between FURIA and W7M.
Well, we spoke about how FURIA struggled a little bit yesterday, but they are definitely looking like they want to come out strong, Ollie. We know that you are their biggest fan, their biggest super fan. Do you think that FURIA can come out today and show exactly what they're made of?
I really hope so. I'd like to see FURIA finish the stage fairly strongly. We mentioned multiple times they've had a cracking one. But yesterday, really, where were the chunks? They were nowhere to be seen. You can have a flick over at the stats. There was something I think that Bodega retweeted over on Twitter, and it was sort of the stats for the match, but it was obviously in Brazilian Portuguese. But you know, you don't need anything to translate the numbers. The costs on the side of FURIA were a really big problem yesterday. Fancy a cost of 13. Bear in mind, the game prior, he was in the back-to-back aces. He had 22 kills, 2 deaths. It was really popping off. Now, it really isn't all down to him. The sort of the performance was from top to bottom, and all the guys on FURIA yesterday really struggled. But I think that was more akin to the way that MIBR approached the game. I don't think they gave them chance to ever get started in that one.
Yeah, it's a rough one, isn't it? You can look at the stats, and for some players, it almost looks a lot worse because you have those players that make those very all-or-nothing plays, and you're used to seeing them at the very top of the standings. When those plays don't work out, Demo, they end up going down, and it looks pretty harsh on them. Let's take a quick look, though, over at the map veto and see exactly where we're going to be ending up. And Demo, maybe run us through your thoughts on where we could potentially be going.
Yeah, should be an interesting phase in terms of the bans. FURIA have played a good mix of maps. They haven't been afraid of playing maybe the more niche maps that we don't see, such as Cafe. That's certainly one that FURIA have not shied away from. I'd be surprised if W7M let that through. I mean, to be fair, W7M also played Cafe this split as well, and they did win on it 8-7 against Santos, so there is a possibility, and it is nearly looking as if it's going to get there. It is down to FURIA to see if they want to go to Cafe or will it be Villa. And no, they will instead go for the Villa pick instead. Interesting. Very, very interesting. FURIA and Villa, I don't think they've played it this split so far, so this is going to be new territory this season.
No, it's a bit of an interesting one. I don't think either teams really have a lot of experience on this map, Ollie. I think W7M only have one game on this map, and that resulted in a loss, so I think a lot is up in the air coming into this one.
Yeah, quite possibly. They played it against Team 1 back at the nearer toward the start of the stage. It was an overtime win for Team 1, but we remember how slow they are at starting a stage. So an opportunity maybe. W7M feeling the confidence to go here, but the question really is on FURIA. What are we to expect from a map that we haven't seen them play inside of the last 3 months? Well, they're going to be capable of playing it. They've actually made the decision to go here as opposed to going to Cafe. Cafe, a map that we've seen FURIA play a couple of times now. So, is it a question of they're trying to keep things hidden in anticipation of the Copa Elite 6 next week? Quite possibly. They might have no intention to play Villa inside of Copa, and this might be an opportunity where they can say, yep, we can play this map. It's one that we've banned 18 times in the last 3 months, and we don't really want to give anything too much away. But don't make any mistakes, they're going to be more than capable here on this map. And they're going to be looking for a little bit of redemption. This is a team that really prides themselves on advancing and developing and getting better week on week. They're not going to be happy with what happened yesterday. That's going to have been fully discussed, fully put to bed, and I think they're going to be looking to come out here and to clean the slate, as it were, Chunk.
And that's very fair, as they want to go into Copa with the best results possible. Look, Demo, we saw the cameras from FURIA there. They are definitely in high spirits. I want to take a look over at W7M and see whether they're going to be in the same mindset, because they are in a really high pressure position right now.
Yeah, I mean, high pressure as much as it gets. I think W7M, I think there's definitely potential for them to pull out a win today, and it would be obviously great for them in terms of standings, but it is going to be a difficult challenge. W7M, in my mind, should have been a lot closer than FaZe than what it was. The scoreline was 7-3 yesterday, but I feel as if it should have been closer. W7M do so well at doing one of the hardest things in the game, and that is getting the first kill. Getting the first kill is very, very difficult. I personally believe that the entry role is one of the more difficult roles that you can take up, because the team relies so heavy on you. You can either go 5-4 up or you go 4-5 down. That's a massive difference. And if a team can consistently get that opening pick, it's going to mean so much for your team throughout the course of the game. And W7M have been one of the best teams so far this season for getting that opening kill. They have heard. He's sitting top of the table in terms of opening kills right now, but they still cannot finish out these easy, simple rounds. They choked the 2v5 yesterday. That's all I need to say about it, Chunks.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because obviously you can get that entry frag, but if you're not able to follow up on it and win the round, then it's all for naught, isn't it? At the same time, Ollie, it feels like FURIA, another team that are very good at getting in there early and getting aggressive. So I think it's kind of up in the air now, and it's going to come down to who decides to almost play it slower and play a bit more reserved right now.
Yeah, and FURIA are going to be well aware of how deadly W7M are, and more specifically how deadly Herds is on that entry, and I think it's going to be something that they look to try and target fairly early on. Fantasy, whilst he's got fantastic stats for this stage, he really suffers in that entry. He isn't a fantastic entry in terms of KD at all now. I always say you've got to break a few eggs to make an omelette, but he's currently 18-14, so he's only +4 on the entry, which isn't fantastic. A lot of Fantasy's prowess and a lot of his ability comes in chaining multiple kills together, and that's really where he's going to shine. But today, going up against Herds and going up against W7M, that entry battle is fiercely fought every single round. And if FURIA are going into every round at a 4 versus 5, it's surely only a matter of time before that starts slipping away. It's surely only a matter of time before W7M start to get themselves into a position where they can actually start to capitalize on that. That's what FURIA need to be really careful of today, because again, it could be a battle in a game that's won in the first 30 to 40 seconds of each round.
It absolutely could. I mean, you've seen the highlights right now. You can see that FURIA, they can have these games where they just absolutely pop off and go the distance and take so many rounds, Demo, but at times it feels like they have those close matchups as well. You can see the ones against NIP, for instance, from last week. It is so close, and I think that it depends which FURIA we get today to a certain extent.
Depends who really wants to step up. You know, we looked at Fantasy, obviously, with the 22 kills, which we can't ignore, and what a display. You know, the best single performance we've seen this entire stage. You have to give credit to him where it's due, but you can't always rely on that. You cannot always rely on this talisman player to consistently show up, because in reality, that's not going to happen. You can't expect somebody to have, 20 kills every single day. That's too much to ask for, Chunks. It's like me showing up with Ollie, and I'm expecting Ollie to scream every single time somebody gets a kill. It's just not going to happen, because he's going to burn himself out.
Well, we'll see how these teams perform. Who is going to show up, because it's game number 1 of the evening. FURIA versus W7M. Ollie, Demo, take it away.
Chunks, thank you very much indeed. We are ready. Day 2 of Super Week. We're going to be getting in and amongst the action here on Villa of W7M and FURIA. A 0 and a buck. First 2 bans here. Already I'm liking this demo. It's a little bit of something off the beaten track. We're not hitting strictly meta bans here, but I respect it. We've seen a lot of 0 played over the course of this stage. Some teams have really lent quite heavily into those Argus cameras. Obviously, with changes coming in the future, potentially, currently being trialed on the test server, we've seen that there's going to be a little bit of a rework to both of those operators as well in terms of their secondary gadget. Now, of course, that's not a factor here, but was something worth thinking about. Valkyrie coming in as the next ban. Cade to round things out. A little bit more familiar over on the defender ban side of things. Valkyrie, great ban for Villa. Great ban pretty much everywhere. The Cade, the Electric Claws placed in all manner of positions can be quite tiresome to deal with. Any thoughts on the bans, Demo?
So, I am intrigued about the banning process. At the moment, Villa has seen a massive meta shift. I personally feel as if it's went away from the old defender-sided Villa. I personally believe it's went very attacker-sided. I think we've seen teams really throw away hard breachers sometimes, and they've kind of played it like Coastline. Villa kind of feels like a new Coastline where you don't necessarily need to open up walls. And I think a big reason of that, Ollie, is how many times do we see defenders open up walls for attackers? You look at the bomb site we're in at the moment. 9 times out of 10, you're going to see one of those map walls. It's going to be soft leading into study. There's already something that the attackers can play into. Villa can become very claustrophobic. I think you can get singled out very easily. Kind of like Coastline again, Ollie, I feel. You do have the roaming capabilities, which I think is a little bit more added to compared to Coastline, though. You do have a bigger map area. You have more staircases to really use and abuse. But still, you can get spot out very easily, and this is where nades become a big factor. You wouldn't be surprised to see teams run at least 2 sets of nades every single round, and that's what we're seeing already from FURIA. And you'll see teams kind of resort into the utility dump in terms of defenders. You'll see Goyu, you'll see Wamai. They're always going to be a pair we'll be seeing. You have ADSs now. That's going to be a lot of utility that the attackers need to try and burn out. And that's just because holding areas such as main stairs is such a key position. It's all about the off-site holds. If you sit just in the bomb site instead of Villa, you're going to be peppered from below. Maybe that's why we're seeing a Buck ban. Buck can be great for going below, opening up beneath the defenders. You can clear anyone up behind bar, anyone up behind bolt, and then you just push them in the crossfires, and it's easily just to capture them where they are and get the kills.
Absolutely, and that's something that Kai's did really well when W7M played against Team 1 earlier this stage on this very map. So to see FURIA ban out that book isn't too much of a surprise. FURIA here starting off on the attack. And they have opted for a very nade-heavy lineup. Bit of early push coming in here as Fancy. He's got himself stimmed up. Is he going to be able to find one? No, Herds, ever consistent. Picks up that entry. Think a stim or not will not matter. Fancy kind of a little bit out of position there, Demo. He was working way ahead of his teammates and nobody in position to trade. That's going to be a freebie.
Freebie indeed, and this is where the attackers can struggle if you don't have that opening pick. Being able to push in multiple angles and multiple corridors in Villa can be difficult. I mean, crossfires galore certainly being held by defenders right now, and as long as they still have control of that main stairs, nobody's going to be able to push into study. This is where I kind of feel that FURIA is going to hit a bit of a roadblock. Surprised that we're not maybe seeing an operator like Flores. I think Flores is a great operator to choose to just solo take study. Hoping that teams don't have a mute, which in this element, W7 didn't bring a mute. Flores can easily clear out anything on main stairs, any shields, any players for that matter. It's going to be a great thing. There's the pick from the C4 though, Wally, and all of a sudden FURIA are just going down the rabbit hole even deeper, and they've fallen into Wonderland, the 2v5 now, Wally.
Certainly Wonderland for W7M. They haven't lost a man yet, and they're not looking like they're going to, if I'm being honest with you. 55 seconds. Miracle and Rare to try and make something happen. Miracle not really got the weapon for it. He's going to be rocking the DMR as he's playing on the Dokkaebi. No Logic Bomb phone calls left either. Sure, there's a bit of hard breach potential, but realistically, you're going to be able to do with it. There's going to be no denial on the walls, but you can make the line of sight, you can make the angle, but it's just another vulnerability at this point. Miracle will find one onto GDN, as FURIA do start to try and stack up now and push on in through into maps. But where's their information? Are their flank drones out? Another C4 is going to fly on through and chunk Miracle down a great deal. Both the players from FURIA now sitting at below 50%. And still, the time ticks. You're going to be holding on, playing close to the vault wall, ready and waiting to swing. Herds below. Surely only a matter of time. The clock is likely going to do the rest, but no, the final 2 kills do come in. E and Panico Not going to be messing around at all. A little bit of a split push in the end attempted by FURIA, but they were between a rock and a hard place. They didn't have much else to go on.
They didn't really have anything in that round, Ollie. What did they have? What, statue and trophy? That was it. They had no control on 90, really. Had no control on study. They had nothing to play off. W7M were able to hit them with that opening pick, which, like we've mentioned all too often, Ollie, W7M are the best team in the league of getting that opening pick. And this time, they've been able to capitalize on it, and I think very successfully. That is how you expect a Villa defense round to go. If you do have that opening pick, it puts the attackers in a very difficult position to really pull it back. I think FURIA, their utility just wasn't there. We've seen in the end game a lot of utility still up. We've seen shields still being up. Just very, very difficult for FURIA to really get anything going in that round.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. There's got to be a conversation for Herds to be one of the best entries in the world at the moment, Demo. Because this level of consistency, he's going to be up there in sort of the top 5 at a minimum.
Stats don't lie.
It's and they really don't. But it's good to see W7M getting that opening pick and then being happy enough to drop back and to drop off and to not actually give themselves up, to not then go thirsting and go chasing. That was the really good thing about that round, because for all that they're great at getting the opening pick, they're at the bottom of the table. They're still at the bottom of the leaderboard, and that's a problem. You know, opening pick doesn't solve everything. You've still got to go out there and you've still got to close the round out. And that's often what we ask for from W7M, is we just want to see a little bit more of that patience shown after they've seen some early round success and to not get so confident. And certainly in that last round, it worked out perfectly for them. FURIA, not really changing all too much about the lineup. Happy to give this another go. Dokkaebi being a pick back-to-back rounds now. It shows that Miracle's going to be fairly intent on playing Dokkaebi throughout. Lender just getting himself into a bit of an engagement here on main. He's got the information. The nade comes through and it's going to push the player up. Logic Bomb phone call rings out as well. Nothing off the back of it just yet.
No, one thing about W7M, I feel throughout this season, that they've been a fairly good defense team, Ollie. It's more their attacks where I think they've really started to struggle, and I think that has been shown. Oh, already 2 picks coming in from FURIA. They will have the opening kill, but that's a great trade, though. How has Landis still gone away with an extra kill before he bites the bullet? 5 players gone, Ollie, within the first minute.
A little bit better there from FURIA in terms of dealing with that extended roam game. W7M getting caught out there inside of games and Aviator. EDN on the site. Iana Clone is, of course, going to be a bait this time, but he knows the real thing won't be far behind. Panico, he's going to be playing inside of Astronomy. Has a chance at watching in through bathroom, Astronomy stairs. Got the hatch open for a rotation if he gets the space to do so. Realistically, he's got a lot to worry about here. And plenty of time for FURIA to start squeezing these remaining 2 defenders. Still need to come up with a bit of a plan, as it looks as though they're heavily in that drone and information gathering phase. They've still got a couple of drones available to them, so they could do worse than to use the Iana Clone, use the drones, and really start to figure things out, and, well, even bait some utility. GDN there, -1 Toxic Babe canister.
Yeah, it's a tough position for W7M to be in right now, and whenever this wall will hopefully be opened up, but it appears to be that mute jammer still lingering on that triple wall will deny it. And with that shield also in a way, Ollie, they cannot remove that mute jammer. So essentially now, FURIA, they have to walk into bottlenecks. A lot of pressure onto Panico especially. He will try and cover that bedroom doorway for GDN, but all the pressure seems to be stemming from his door, and they just walk in and kill him where he stands. The cover's not there from GDN, and he will lose his life in the crossfire. Bit of a head scratcher there from W7M. They put a lot of pressure hoping that the guy in the bedroom door would swing, but in reality, Ollie, it was the people pushing in towards Trophy.
The classic bait and switch. And I think that W7M was starved for information there. They had no idea where this push was coming from. Obviously, with Valkyrie being banned, it's going to be difficult to have that off-site info, and we can almost see that demonstrated perfectly there. Panico is going to be rocking the pulse this time. They need to know, and they want to know exactly where FURIA are going to be approaching from. Information was really lacking. It isn't a situation that's guaranteed. It's a 3 versus 2. If you're pushing in through single doorways and you're going up against shotgun operators and things of that nature, you really ought to be losing the majority of those engagements as an attacker. But the lack of information, W7M just far too many angles to hold. It was a very unsure call as to where that push was going to come from, and it demonstrated perfectly. FURIA have managed to pick up themselves the first round. We see a site change in from W7M as well. They did have the option to go back to Trophy and Statue, but instead they're going to go downstairs into Kitchen.
Yeah, straight down to Kitchen, and look at FURIA's lineup, Ollie. This is Frag City we've just arrived to, Ollie. Have you ever been here before?
So yeah, occasion. It's nice for a sort of weekend break. It's usually pretty fast, pretty explosive.
Hectic. Yeah. You need to watch your steps sometimes.
Pretty loud.
I mean, this screams crouch walk to me.
Yeah. Crouch walk and nade.
Yeah. I mean, how much is that? What, 3 sets of nades?
Can we further this conversation as to why there is no Wamai or Jaeger?
Mostly because it's a kitchen, and usually the whole idea of these kind of offsite holes where we look at deployable shields being used and stuff like that doesn't really happen for kitchen. A lot of teams will then try and prioritize C4s. We have triple C4s on the lineup of W7M. We're seeing the Pulse be brought in, a great operator for kitchen. You can gain a lot of information. You can really find out what the attackers are going to try and set up for. If you see about 5 of them outside a bedroom balcony, okay, then you know they're going to try and sweep upstairs and use vertical angles. If in the first minute you see nobody is interested in bedroom, then you know they're probably going to try and attack from living room. Maybe in towards pantry, try something sneaky, because that's not the norm, and you have to be ready for it. Just the information you can gain right off the rip is so valuable, so we kind of move away from the utility dump more to active information, playing their own game, and there's Herds again, opening pick for him.
Lender getting his ankles broken then. You could see the spray wasn't great from Lender and Herds. We know him to be extremely accurate and very unforgiving. Going to be rocking the P10. Another round, another opening pick. And another time when FURIA are just kind of operating a lot further ahead than they should be. Rare's now going to be on 90. Well, Hertz is long gone. There is no way he's going to be in any position to be taken out. He's going to have got himself to some level of safety. The kills do start to come in as Sight is now under the control of FURIA. Quick push in from Fantasy. Nades start to fly out as well. There are still vertical angles here for W7M to take advantage of. Kais, he hits them with the fight back on Sight as Fantasy is going to fall. Leveled out to a 3 versus 3. W7M still with these vertical angles. All they've got to do is just wait and see what happens here. Hertz takes out the Ayana clone, but his teammates are doing work on the site, leveling things up. Rare in a position to remove D from the picture. And it's now all down to Hertz, the man of the moment. He picked up the first. Can he find the last 2? Yes, he can!
Wow. Wow! Hertz started things off, Ollie, with the first kill, and he finishes it off with the final 2. Great round from W7M. I think, again, playing off the information, playing off each other with the refrags. FURIA, I think you can see the gun skill, Ollie, in some of those occasions. They're very, very strong. They know the right timings, but they just both line up for him in the corridor, and maybe you're looking at that moment there, only a 1 versus 2. Should they maybe have waited, grouped up together, because they kind of gave him the individual battles, and if you're giving a player like Herds these 1v1s, you're going to lose them.
Now, any viewer with a keen
he's the
eye...
P10 one trick.
Well, he's a bit more than a P10 one trick. You've got to give him a little bit more than that. Any viewer with a keen eye will have remembered, after we get to see the beautiful replays, Herds was holding up a little bit of a sign in the pre-game when we were discussing him. We were looking at all the players' cameras. Now, we have a live translation. Never give up, Herds, W7M. All that it's missing is 2021, but we can take it as it is. But these guys have come into this game. These guys have come into this game so confidently. Yeah. Like, so confidently. There was even a little bit of trash talk going on in as the bands were coming through. Herds was saying something along the lines of today highs will be in the lowlands. So there's even a little bit of sort of trash talk there, and it just goes to show W7M, they are that team that even when they are faced with the potential of relegation, they are fighting tooth and nail to make that not a thing, to make that not a reality for them. And so far, they've been able to pick up a good couple of rounds here. Just got to see if they've got what it takes to continue that and close it out. But honestly, the most deadly team at the moment, you've got to give that accolade to W7M.
See how they continue on now as they will opt back to Aviator and Games Ollie, which worked really well for them. They have made one slight adaptation. They sacked off the Goyo, I believe, and now they have Amira being brought in, and Amira will now appear to be playing inside A statue with a wall being opened and a mirror window being slapped onto that triple wall. It gives them a bit of peak advantage now, and it kind of scares away FURIA. FURIA have enough utility. You know, we've mentioned this before. Their nades, they should be doing a lot of damage. I think last time they were here, Fantasy got the he got opening deft right off the rip, and that really hindered them. Whenever you're bringing an operator like Finka, who's kind of like Iana, because you have the 2 nades and you have the Gon 6, can be great at removing any obstacles in your way. And losing it, that's... There we go. Didn't lose it this time, and there's the nade. Maybe that's the game changer. Maybe that's the difference in the fact that Fantasy, he's used his utility.
Quite possibly. We haven't really seen all too much out of Fantasy just yet. He's managed to pick himself up 4 kills, but he's not had that big impact that we expect him to have. This round he's really picking things up, and so FURIA. 2 opening kills there. Gonna give them good a start as they could have hoped for here to attack into this AVG. Yeah, maybe with a chance here. I'm not sure if he's known where he is. He did manage to get prone just before the window was fully open. Eyes, of course, is going to have an inkling someone's there, especially now given that there's been a C4 detonated onto the window. The next player to fall will be Lender. Now, he's got a funny knack of getting a kill just before he dies. This time he was downed, and he will be picked up with the Finka Stim. Panico does make the C4 land eventually. It only takes down Fantasy. Still, FURIA with a distinct advantage here.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if FURIA let this one slip. They know the positionings of both of the players, and it's just a matter of time, I think, before they set themselves up and start executing onto the bomb site. What is going on there? Miracle has been absolutely baited by Rare, and all of a sudden, it is a 2v2. Is this a disaster class in the making? Potentially, it looks to be the case. It's now into a 1 versus 1. Gui has the mirror window. He can play this to the best of his ability. He does hear the movement, but Rare makes up for it. My, oh my. Ollie, what is going on with FURIA?
That should never have been a clutch. And it was almost the flip reverse of what happened to W7M yesterday. W7M lost a 5 versus 2. Well, they nearly won a 2 versus 5 then. Coming down to a 1 versus 1. It's nail-biting stuff. You really can't be relying on that in any way, shape, or form. Rare's done a good job to close it out, but it shouldn't have been that close. Not by a long shot, especially given the start that FURIA were able to get in that round. They have now managed to level things up 2 rounds apiece. By all accounts, a very scrappy affair. Panico and Guy, what a cracking job to bring that one back. Their positioning and the way that they were able to traverse through the site. Fantastic stuff. And FURIA, again, they're going at these things one at a time, Demo. It's the same way that they're losing the opening blood in a lot of occasions, is they're just sending people in one by one, single file.
It has been a weird game. 2-2. Still anyone's game right now. Go up to Trophy Statuary, and this was a fast one, Ollie. This was, what, 3 people dead with inside, like, 30 seconds, and then another 2 falls before the minute mark. This was very hectic in terms of the trades and the gun skill. Eventually, it did come down to a 3v2, which FURIA managed to see out, so they won it last time. You see a slight adaptation from W7M. They brought in the Clash this time around. What is Clash really going to bring to the table? Well, I think it's going to give them, again, this active information. We've seen how well they played off it on the kitchen defense, where they brought a Pulse in that scenario. Clash, again, very similar to Pulse. Information operator can provide active information that your team can then utilize and try and get these kills from it. Are FURIA going to follow for a Clash? I feel as if FURIA, they should be prepared for an operator like Clash. I feel as if Clash has been quite common in Brazil at the moment. I think we've seen a good amount of her, especially, you know, for the kind of niche that she is. There's been a good amount of Clash. See the first trades go off. Highs will eliminate hers, but then we see the quick trade. Landa goes down, so it will be a 4 versus 4. And again, it just seems to be another quick round, Ollie. Look at Fantasy right on the bathroom door already.
Happy to hold that angle and just wait to see if anybody is in a position to rotate on through. He's going to be dealing with both Panico and GDN on the other side of things, but this is where the nades come in. Maybe try and at least force Clash player back, but instead is going to lose a nade to the ADS, thinks better of it, and chooses to take a different line of approach. Meanwhile, Miracle, he's been able to move through and take down Kais. Unsure if that was a vertical kill or if Kais were pushing down aggressively onto the stairs or not. Still, another frag that goes Furia's way. Second on the round, and still yet with W7M to find blood. There we go, it will happen. Miracle. He is going to be the next player to fall. A couple of grenades gone with him as well. GDN, look at the pressure that he's under. There's somebody on the rappel, but no! Guy takes him down with the C4. Fancy has to now push on through aggressively in the 1 versus 3. Effective 1 versus 2, but he's going up against the Clash. What is he doing, Demo? How does he hit that shot? It's now 1 versus 1. Panico, he's already downed. All he's got to do is try and push the shield away and hit a couple of shots in onto GDN. There's a minute. This could go on for a very long time, but finally, Fantasy locks it up.
Oh, that was just painstaking at the end there from the Clash. Just can't do anything. My oh my. I never expected this would be the kind of villa we'd be after. It is absolute mayhem. I expected a degree, especially considering FURIA is playing, but FURIA are just walking in. Like, FURIA don't care, Ollie. They're just going in and swinging and taking gunfights. Like, FURIA are playing as if they have somewhere to be.
Maybe they do. Maybe it's the good old siege at 5, dinner at 7.
Just every time I watch Brazil, it's just it just goes against everything I know from EU. It's just out the window. Everything I know. Like, if you tried to play like this in EU, they'd laugh at you. They would laugh at you. Not here.
Yeah, it's a different breed sometimes. This certainly has been a much scrappier game than we usually get. I think this is a little bit more of an anomaly.
I mean, I'm here for it. I'm all for it.
You've got to be here for it. If Fancy's clutching 1 versus 3s, you've got to be here for it.
Definitely a better game than what he had yesterday.
I mean, I think anything would have been a better game than that. In the politest possible way.
Yeah. And you can kind of see, like, FURIA, they're playing pretty much the same way as what they did yesterday. Very aggressive, you know, not afraid to take the gunfights. But then that's where MIBR they came into their own. MIBR were a very passive team yesterday. They just sat and let FURIA swing. And whenever FURIA swing, they sit them right back down. So it just seems to be that W7M, they're kind of struggling. This was the game plan FURIA had yesterday, and it's working for them now.
Last round of the defense for W7M. Been able to pick up 2 rounds so far. They could still come away with a 3-3 split. We're feeling a little bit more dangerous as the time goes on. Goyo shield there getting destroyed. We do finally have the Flores demo. Something that you sort of spoke about way back at the banning phase. I'm kind of surprised it's taken until round number 6 to see a Flores, because there's so much to do and there's so much to destroy here on Villa that it would make sense to, you know, bring those Rotero drones, and even if you just got that bit more information.
And I think FURIA have kind of seen the past couple of rounds that Mute hasn't been a go-to for them for this bomb site, and for that very reason it makes Flores extremely powerful. Obviously, you know, you could still take a Thatcher in the lineup to disable the Mute jammers, but right now FURIA are not going to play a Thatcher. Let's be honest, they're going to be playing this aggressive lineup. But yeah, the drones, the Flores drones are going to help them out a lot, clearing out shields. They can easily move in, they can spot out anything they need. And of course, you know, we look at their lineup, they have 2 Gun 6s, they have nades as well. But it is a bit of a risk. Remember, you have to peek into those angles, whereas the Flores drone, you're completely safe. It's just the easier way of doing it, and you can see already that shield's gone, and they haven't had to worry. Maybe they want to keep the nades to actually use on site. That could be another option why they're bringing in the Flores. They want to keep that utility to get some kills.
They could be, especially when you start thinking about removing players from Vault and stuff like that. If you can try and get a nade into there, it's going to do a lot to shift that player out into a crossfire. That's likely what we're going to start seeing very soon as FURIA start to tighten the net here around W7M. Taking pretty much full control. There is still, I believe it's going to be Panico out there on the roam. He's just playing inside a Memorial at the moment. Rare the first to fall though. Loses the fight on 90, but Lender is immediately in there with the refrag. Takes down Herds. A nice 1-for-1, and it maintains an advantage here for FURIA. Logic Bomb phone calls ring out. Finker Stims come on in.
Oh, they know.
Miracle. He's on the hunt. He knows that there's going to be somebody below, and all he's got to do now is try and watch onto those east stairs. But Panico is in with the full rotation. Not a lot of time left, though, to be going all the way up Astro and leaving your teammates light on the site. Gets a chance and a shot, but it isn't going to be enough. Fantasy, he's seeing some damage now as the Toxic Babe is going to chunk him down, but he still takes down Panico out there. GDN could be a round winner here. That's the diffuser cold. 2 seconds left, finds the second, hits the third. Gee's in there for the action. W7M clutch up there on the last second.
Don't know what happened to FURIA. Just stopped in their tracks. FURIA set up extremely well. They did exactly what they needed to do. They moved in, they cleared out utility, they got the first pick, they had man advantage. They knew somebody was below. Did they need to chase that man? Probably not. From my perspective, Panico didn't really want to take those gunfights. Panico was just trying to stay alive as best as he could until, you know, the perfect time to hit the flank, and that was around the 20-second mark that we seen. But FURIA maybe got tunnel visioned in that area. Maybe the time got away from them, but just couldn't break through that defense. And as we know, Ollie, a smoke in that scenario in the final 20 seconds behind the bar of a shotgun just lines them up for days, and that's exactly what happened. So we take an even split. W7M and FURIA going 3 rounds apiece. Now we see the halftime switch, and FURIA get the defense. I worry for W7M, Ollie, because on the attacks, this is where W7M have struggled this season, has been their attacking side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the opening pick's been a lot less consistent, as it's not as easy to get. And as such, that sort of trickled down into some sort of lackluster attacks. Of course, it was on attack yesterday where they were able to lose the 5 versus 2. So it is a point of concern for W7M. But I think they can hold heads fairly high. That was a round, I guess that, you know, FURIA really fluffed that last round that we just saw, round number 6. But W7M still in a position to win it. They were still on the pitch and they were still ready and waiting. GDN had to hit those couple of crucial shots, and he did just exactly that. And the roam and the rotation was perfect from Panico because it just drew so much attention. I think FURIA may be feeling as though this could be a 4-2, but quite easily the other way. Could be a 4-2 the other way to W7M. A nice even split and a chance here for W7M to really show everybody what they're made of. Don't forget, they're still fighting for relegation here. A win here sees them in with a chance of not being that relegated team.
Still there for W7M. If they can really pull together and win these attacks. And I mean, Villa can definitely be the attacker side if you play it correctly, but that's not a good start for them. Lenda abusing the C4s. Keep in mind, Villa, one of the most destructible maps in the game. There is probably, what, 90% of the flooring upstairs you can C4? And that's always going to be difficult for attackers, because if you're walking on essentially thin ice, as soon as that breaks, you're dead. So always have to be ready for it. W7M, they've lost that opening engagement. They seem as if they've kind of stalled out a little bit. To me, anyway. It now looks as if they've taken, what, already another 45 seconds, and they haven't really moved. They're just sat in held angles, and that's exactly what FURIA want them to do, is just stay still, because this is where FURIA can really come into their own. They still have downstairs pressure. They have C4 still that they can toss out. It's going to be a rough one.
Not made any easier by the clock, of course, and W7M not really playing to it too well at the minute. We're still looking for Panico to make his way in, and just seems to be skirting around the outside at the moment. It's not even like he's on drone gathering that information. Gee's still out on the roof as well. It's really Herds that's going to be running around trying to make something happen. Could see himself in an engagement here, as he's going to be holding it in onto Astronomy, but little does he know, player for FURIA inside of the bathroom has made that rotation. Now there could be some air jabs here to assist, but given that this isn't even the site, is this worth as much time as it is taking? Rare's doing a great job of wasting time here. We got Lenda below as well. 35 seconds left. W7M still trying to search out for these roamers and simultaneously pushing onto the site. They're splitting their forces. They're not really being effective at either.
Yeah, they went for a very light rotate over the study, Ollie, but this just doesn't work. You don't have enough time to really go for this. GDN has pushed all the way into Matzo, and he will successfully try and get down to the diffuser. A C4 will miss, though, and that's the perfect example of how GDN can really work his way around that table. A good deal of cover, but he goes to the full sprint. GDN What were you thinking? Diffuser cold on the ground, and FURIA surely have the time on their side, and they do. Ollie, it was almost a moment of genius, and then he fluffs it.
Almost, but not quite. Kind of reminiscent of yesterday, where we saw a couple of plants going down just under the radar demo, where teams were just not responding at all. But thankfully there, FURIA had the read. They'd got the call that the plant was going down, and there was somebody in position to do something about it. But a round that comes down to a narrow margin like that, only a couple of seconds in it there, really, at the end, you just wonder, how much more successful would W7M have been if they'd have just set an air jab out and set a flank drone and worried about the flank at a later date and pushed in onto the site, as opposed to Herds spending so much time dancing around, essentially, with Rare over on that north side of the map.
So, where do we go now for FURIA? We'll be over towards that trophy statuary. Looking at the lineup, nothing too out of the ordinary. A good deal of everything, only. They have, you know, some form of utility denial in the form of Fancy on the Aruni. Maybe lacking the Jaeger, maybe lacking the Wamai also, but still, we've seen Aruni Gates cause quite a few issues. I mean, Aruni's been a great addition, you know, ever since she was added. Ollie can be a great roaming operator. Obviously, we know the P10 Roni can do a lot of damage. The fact that she can make rotates with her mechanical arm is also a big bonus, and the Aruni Gates can cause issues. You know, we've literally seen Aruni Gates be a make or break of a round in some circumstances. It's kind of like a Legion Mine. You know what we've seen, like a Legion Mine just come in so clutch, maybe to stop somebody get a diffuser down. I mean, Aruni Gates can kind of do that same thing.
Yeah, very possibly, and it forces attackers to use utility to clear them as well, and sometimes you may be in a position where you haven't got any stuns left, you haven't got any drones left to throw through, and you end up having to throw like a smoke or a piece of your actual throwable gadgetry utility, or maybe even a nade. So it really does do something to eat up the sort of resources, and again, it requires that coordination. Coordination, something that we've spoken about a couple of times that W7M haven't got the most of. So again, another good example of maybe something that W7M needs to try and get better at countering and get better at dealing, is that work together and all pulling in the same direction. But at least for this round, they've got quite a bit to worry about. The Banshees, as you mentioned, the Maestro cameras potentially out there. That's another big difference that we're seeing FURIA bring that W7M really didn't pay any attention to, and that's that off-site utility, off-site information. And again, W7M, they struggled for that when they were on the defense.
Oh, here we go with the Yings. Candela's being tossed in. Any movement, though, from W7M? Yes, it's going to be a bait, Ollie, as the Yings go out. Everyone from FURIA looks towards Pig Window, but in reality, they all pushed in from bedroom whenever the heads were turned. A brilliant play, it has to be said, from W7M, and now they have full site control, and FURIA are left wondering what just happened. He's has the LMG, trying to find that kill onto the Ying, but doesn't look as if anything's going to come off it. Landa's going to try his best, but that barbed wire even gives himself up. And both the players, it's almost as if they're now attacking the bomb site, Ollie, as they're both below. Landa gets one kill for his troubles, but Highs will also fall, and now it's a 1 versus 4 for him. But I really don't see this happening for him. W7M with a great push really baits in FURIA to look towards the Ying, but in reality it was a quick hit from the bedroom, and wow, they flooded that bomb site like a tsunami crashing against the rocks. 7 seconds, time up now for FURIA. Can he get any more kills to pad the stats? Doesn't look as if anyone from W7M is going to give him that luxury, and even Herds finds the final kill. W7M, just take a bow.
It's kind of ironic as well, because it was literally as I was wrapping up talking about coordination and utility burn that we just see 3 Candelas fly through the window. I believe that the first one was missed. I don't think that we can give entire credit there to guys. The first one did bounce off the doorframe. The second 2 landed home. And I think, yeah, great coordination. They were able to pull that classic bait and switch. It's the oldest trick in the book, and FURIA fell for it. They're like, oh no, a Ying rushed through Pig Window. What ought we do? We must all look at it. And then in reality, as you say, everything's happening elsewhere, and all you see is kills lighting up on the kill feed toward W7M. A great round, a good way to get a nice, easy one under their belts. It levels things up a little bit here. FURIA, not wanting to go back stairs, are going to take us down to the kitchen instead.
Straight down to kitchen. See how this plays out for them. They haven't went for too much kind of live information. You know, we're not seeing the pulse that W7M kind of showed us. They do have 2 bulletproofs though. Bulletproof from Legion and also bulletproof from the Aruni, so they do have some form of information, and I think this kind of screams they're going to go for a very heavy top floor hold. You can see shields being placed down towards triple wall. I'm sure that'll be reinforced, and it will be. So FURIA are all about denying access to the top floor. Are W7M going to play like that? Looking at their lineup, I think it would be a good idea for W7M to take the fight upstairs. Whenever you have a sledge, you can use that vertical destruction. Kitchen, very, very destructible. You can eliminate really any position. I don't think there's any safe positions you can actually sit if a sledge is upstairs above you. So I think FURIA are kind of wary of that. But I wouldn't be surprised W7M just to go upstairs and start opening and take these fights. And don't allow FURIA to have that free range. We know FURIA are a very heavy roam game, Ollie. We know they love that roam game. Don't let them have it. Don't let them have the freedom.
Yeah, for sure. FURIA, a team that will run you ragged if you give them the chance. Really going to be on W7M to take control of that top floor. And they've got the means to do so, right? The lineup that they're bringing, it speaks to a top floor take. You know, you've got the sledge to get in and start ripping open the floor. You've got air jabs from the Nomad to really start locking off some of those rotations and ensure your safety to a degree up there. FURIA, while they've got a couple of C4s, they're not leaning as heavily as they could do into them. They've brought 3. Excuse me, they brought 2. Conscious of the good old Pogma. Not seen a lot of Frost this weekend. Maybe there's time for that. Certainly wouldn't be abnormal to see a Frost here, but alas, top floor control starting slowly to be taken over here. FURIA have dipped off it a little bit. Still looking to challenge on some of the small reverse angles that have been made, but I would expect a lot more noise at this moment in time from W7M. Where's Sledge? Where's that Cabo ripping up the floor? It really needs to start happening soon.
Yeah, only a minute to go, Ollie. It doesn't leave them a lot to really work with. The fact that FURIA haven't lost anyone is great for them, because now they know they have a minute. I would be really surprised if W7M can drone out in time in all these positions. I mean, Landa is in a terrifying one right now, but if he goes unnoticed and he doesn't get droned out, then he can make a big splash. Except W7M will begin that soft destruction, start rotating in towards Laundry, but I feel that this is exactly where FURIA want them to be. This is where they want them to push into. You still have smokes, you still have a C4 on line with highs. I mean, this should end pretty badly for W7M. Just they don't have the time, Ollie, to try and burn through all of this.
Given the time, it really should. Miracle. 1 Toxic Babe canister left. You can see players for W7M stacking up. A nade is going to be enough to push him back, but very easily he can get himself back into position and place another Toxic Babe canister. Nose is being pushed from above and is full white flash now. Herds opens up with a kill onto Fancy and True Herds faction, and GDN's going to start nailing that plant to the floor. It's unlikely to be stopped here, and Kai's is in there with the shoulder cover. A push in, but it's desperate, and it is unsuccessful. FURIA now left in a 1 versus 3. Kai's has a lot to do. 35 seconds to do it in. Miracle downed in sight. C4 comes out, isn't going to be enough. Does get shot out midair. Herds in with the swing. Panico's kill finished off from earlier. A great late round execute from W7M.
Very surprised that they pulled that off. There was a TK in the midst of that for FURIA, though. That's the only thing I would worry about. And I would say the positioning of highs. He has the C4. What's he doing in library? What's he doing over there? Shouldn't he be kind of in the midst of that, being able to battle back the diffuser? In my mind, he should be, but maybe he was worried about the upstairs angles. I think Sledge did an extremely good job. I think he did what he needed to do, and that was just get in there and cover the upstairs angles. We're seeing the Ying be 6th pick now, so W7M going back to the Ying, which did work for them in that 1 round. Whenever they were attacking onto Statuary and Trophy, but now this is a different bomb site, though. This is going to be back to maps for FURIA. Their lineup, again, not really changed. It's still that aggressive lineup. Had the C4s. Information would probably be the only thing they're lacking. But I suppose if they are kind of playing for the kills and they're playing for the gunfights, then this is a good lineup to do it for.
It feels very winnable for W7M at the moment. 5-4. 1 round away from a match point, 2 rounds away from locking it up. They're playing for more than just a regular win here, and I think that's the big difference. We're seeing a slightly different W7M come out today. Usually we're really just looking at Herds for a big contribution in the kills. Panico's had his weeks as well, but this week, look at him go. 10-4 so far, Demo. Really stepping up to the plate. It's exactly the sort of performance that W7M needed. See if it's going to be enough to pull them over the line a little bit further. Panico on the Ying this time as opposed to Kai's, so a little bit of a role swap around there, but nothing too significant. Backing into Aviator and Games. They're going to be going for that north side clear. They're going to be looking to get into Master Bedroom, Trophy, Statuary, and look to push on through there. FURIA still hell-bent on this roam. They've got 2 players downstairs. Miracle on main as well, playing with the shotgun. Honestly, unlikely to be touched. W7M know that there's going to be a heavy investment over toward that side of the map, and instead have chosen to go for the path of least resistance.
FURIA quickly rotating over. Double room game from Fantasy and Landa. Their Roni duo. What they want to get up to. Not much at the moment. Again, W7M just taking their time. I think they played a lot slower than certainly what FURIA were playing on the attacks. But then again, it looks as if their lineup is more calculated. They have the Ying. See what they have in store. Panico maybe looking to use the Yings onto 90 window. So W7M may be trying to play for the quick push down 90 and establish that control, which can help them out a lot. Fantasy eliminates GDN though. Using that deployable shield just peaks. A Candela will be tossed into 90, but nobody really capitalizes on the chaos that a Candela can cause. Hers takes a bit of damage also, but certainly FURIA, they're in a driving seat right now.
I mean, we thought that last time. We were saying very similar as the time was running short that FURIA are in the driving seat, albeit there hadn't been an opening kill that time. If there's one thing that W7M have proved to us today, it is an ability to execute under pressure. Guns come in, Fancy forced to aggress on through, a great play, gets out of the way of the flash and is able to take Yi down. With it, the Lion and the Diffuser. Now the pressure really is on as Lenda doubles down, taking down Panico. Guys and Herds. A long fight to try and get to that Diffuser, and Herds is going to start. Takes down 2 before being cut down by the Toxic Babe. Canister gas. Guys is left in the clutch. 1 versus 3. 20 seconds left to go. Not got a great deal of info and inevitably gets swung. Miracle. He had the heads up. He knew that there was going to be somebody on 90. All he got was a glimpse, but it's all he needed.
Was indeed. Not much else. FURIA being able to pick up those kills and win that round. Pretty convincingly. Nothing really too crazy from them, I think. Just FURIA able to sit back and just play down the time. All the pressure in W7M that round. Now we go 5-5. I mean, what a way to kick things off. This is the first game, Ollie. Are we in for another 60-round night?
Not sure about that. There's potential, though. There really is. It'd be heartbreaking if W7M didn't get the win here today. Given how they've played, and given how they've played throughout this stage, there's been some really close games. Some games, the scorelines sort of reflected that closeness. Other games, hasn't so much. They are that team that can, they just don't often do. And slowly but surely, we're starting to see that a little bit more consistency out of them. Still chance here to wrap it up in a regulation time win. But you're right, it does get that. I do get that 3-3 per side vibe here. I do get that overtime impression as the rounds start to tick on. I think the good thing is that W7M aren't going to be going for that same Ying strategy. They've not brought the Ying, so they're not going to be looking to try and bait out on Pig Window. I don't think it'd work two rounds in one game. but it shows that they're willing to try something else. They're not clutching onto things that have worked in the past just for the sake of that they worked in the past.
I'm curious to see how W7M are going to play at this round. They haven't brought the Ying, and that Ying take that they went for was a great round and a real highlight, I feel, for how far W7M have came this split. You know, W7M, as much as we look at the the overall standings of all three splits, Ollie, yes, they are sitting at the bottom, but in reality of how they played this split, they haven't played bad at all. You know, they've had their wins, they've had their losses, and they've really improved from where they were last season. I think they probably could have gotten a few more, like, regular time wins. But it is what it is. W7M still playing well. And, I mean, if they can take this win 7-5 against FURIA, that's a massive bonus for them.
Absolutely. Another very slow round. I don't think we're to expect anything else now as we lead up to the end of this game. Nade going to fly on over from Herds. We'll do something to remove any jammers in the way, and Kai's is going to open things up. Herds, how does he not hit the second as well? Fantasy gets chunked down. Miracle taken out of the picture. Both SAS operators gone. All the Toxic Babe canisters. Both of the shotguns. Great little win in the mid part of this round. Please don't peek onto Herds. He is deadly. He will take your head off. Say again, Fantasy. What a shot that must have been. Oh, Herds, you've looked so deadly, and all it took was a sliver of an Aruni and a P10 Roni to take you out at range.
I think you got your words mixed up. It's not Herds that you shouldn't peek, it's Fantasy that you shouldn't be peeking, Ollie, and he's just proven that at full force, but he will quickly get traded off. That's a good pinch from W7M, using that lion charge to initiate that attack onto Trophy, and then Lenda, that probably should have been a kill for him, but he misses the shots with the MP5 SD, and now a diffuser will start to be planted down by FURIA. Heist does have a C4, but that lion charge is enough to stop him for the meantime. Echo Drone also gets shut down. Heist challenging on to the lion, will win that engagement, but still 3 more to find, along with the diffuser. Sees the prone go down, does a lot of damage to GDN, who is still alive, and even drops down the laundry hatch. But it's not enough. Landon now all by himself in the 1v3, but he also gets shut down. 6-5, W7M push us to match point for the first time this evening.
What a round from Kai's.
Yep.
4 kills on the round. Couple of them there inside of the post, but more importantly, he opened up along with Herds. He was there to find the entry. He was there to get the trade-off onto Fantasy after Herds fell. Really, really big round coming in from him. Exactly the impact that they want out of Kai's, and the reason why they picked him up as a player. Those big, impactful kills. Great focus on getting the diffuser down. W7M aren't afraid to get that plant off today, and it's great to see. They're really starting to develop themselves around getting that plant down and putting a lot of the pressure and the focus back onto FURIA. And that's in part with the way that FURIA are playing. They often do play these off-site holds. Sure, they had an Echo that time. They were actually going for a little bit of denial. They knew that something was amiss, that the plant may have been on the cards, but they still couldn't fight back against it. Now we see FURIA go back downstairs into the kitchen. This again, a very difficult site for FURIA. FURIA lost this site last time that they defended it. Again, we saw the plant go down, and it just wasn't something that FURIA could stop from happening.
FURIA, pressure is on. How is this going to work out for them? Kitchen will be their choice. In hindsight, probably a round that they should have won, but they just didn't. They choked it massively. I think if you looked at a 5v5 of 30 seconds ago, with a C4 and smoke grenade still on the table, you probably would have expected that the defenders would come out on top in that, but nope, W7M, they were able to push in, persevere, and being able to take that round win. Let's see if they can do it again. Same lineup, more or less, Ollie. And they do have the Lion this time that they brought from the last round, which did work for them very, very well, especially trying to get down that diffuser. It was a great help for them. But I wouldn't be surprised to see W7M again go upstairs and try and utilize that soft destruction and use that sledge to the best of his ability.
We did see W7M take top floor control. It took them a little bit longer to take, but that's the nature of a lot of their attacking rounds, is they do tend to take their time in doing so. And they often come up with the results in the end, so it's not like it's a really big problem for them. At least it hasn't been in this round, in this game so far. Eyes dodging out the explosive from below. In fact, it was Herds' nade that was going off. Panico trying to give him the information on the drone and ping out for him, but both of those nades have been unsuccessful. Now we get the EE1D come out. It would have been nice to see that when the nades were going down. Maybe would have been a bit of a better chance of making something happen. But guys, what a messy engagement this is. Draws for the pistol and takes Fantasy down. Neither player landing shots with the primary. Both ducking and diving. Toxic Babe canister from below is going to be enough to push Kai's back for the meantime. Opening exchange again going W7M's way.
Yes, a great start again for W7M. Eliminates Fantasy. The best performer right now for FURIA is gone. And another one falls. W7M, Ollie, are almost on the glimpse of a win against FURIA. This would be massive for them and a great way to finish off the season. W7M just have to do a little bit more, though. 3 more players to find. A minute to do so. Lenda has been spotted out upstairs, and he has to quickly maneuver back down to the rest of his team. He even goes as far as all the way down to the basement. Eyes is waiting to see what he can find, but nothing's going to be there for him. Cannot find him through the bars. Now FURIA, how will they hold on? 30 seconds to do so. W7M are starting to make their way down onto the floor. They'll start pushing in towards Laundry, pushing in towards Moto as well. Let's see where they want to go.
Panico, great pick there over onto Highs. The pain, it does continue. Rare, can you grab one back? He puts so much damage in onto Herds, eventually finishes things off and keeps himself alive. Lenda, Rare, they both find one each as well. GDN is starting to get the plant down. Rare, what a shot! 3 kills on the round. The plant has been confirmed. It's going to be a retake. Rare and Lenda, you have to try and move on through. GDN, he's got to kill both. 35 seconds. He's got information. He knows where one player is. Can he land some shots? Yes, he can. GDN, this is for a full 3 points. This is to fight back against relegation. The bear at 9 in hand. Can't quite make the shots hit. Still has information on the site. Retreats all the way back into the pantry. Hasn't reloaded the primary. Still going to be rocking the bear in 9. But time's ticking. Rare, he's only got 14 seconds. He needs to make the push. He's not got time to bait this one out. He reactivates the laser gate. Is it going to be enough? Goes for the swing. Hits the shots. And the time is not going to be enough. Rare, it was a great attempt. But you, my friend, have not got enough time.
Heartbreaker for Rare in that final round, but a savior appears for W7M. GDN does just enough to see out that round. Should never have been that close. Very similar to the FURIA round that we had earlier, Ollie. But still, W7M will walk away with a win. What a performance. The best performance we have seen from this team this year.
I mean, they saved the best till last, didn't they? They really did. Not quite the last, but getting toward the last. I think they've got 1 game left to play tomorrow. You can see almost somber celebrations there. I don't think we're expecting these guys to be jumping out of the chairs just yet. They're still not out of the woods. They have another win to find, but that is the first step in what could be them fighting off that relegation spot. Now all eyes seriously do turn onto match 3 of the day. That Santos game has just got even more interesting, Demo.
It has indeed, and now that puts a lot of pressure on Santos, but W7M, all credit to them, Ollie. I've been very, very impressed with how they played today. Just overall, some of the plays that they made. I think the Ying kind of bait that they had onto the trophy statuary was a real highlight for me, a real joy to watch. So yeah, W7M should be very, very proud of themselves, but where does this leave FURIA? I mean, that's 2 back-to-back losses that, in reality, they should be... I mean, they should have put up a better fight against MIBR, but they should be beating a team like W7M all day of the week.
Well, you'd hope so. You really would. We'll get Chunks back in here and see if he has any answers for us. Unsure if we get interviews with W7M, but if we do, I'm sure that we will get one of those lined up as well.
Yep, really impressive game there, and W7M, you said it, saving the best till last, and well, they really showed up when they needed to, and you even saw on the cameras there after they won the game, it wasn't so much a look of like excitement, although we did have that. It was almost sense of relief at times, Demo, because it was close. If they didn't pick up the points in this game, then Santos could have started tearing away, and well, W7M would be in relegation.
Yeah, and for moments there, it was looking pretty bad for W7. I think FURIA at points of the game had some great rounds, some great momentum going for them. Fantasy, again, another great performance, but other people just didn't show up today from FURIA, which is a bit of a surprise. We're seeing Fantasy, again, continue on that good run of form that he's on at the moment, but then FURIA just overall struggling.
Yep, Ollie, it feels like a lot of the teams at the lower end of the standings, they often struggle when they are in these high-pressure situations, but to me, at least, it looked like W7M actually did a lot better when they were under pressure. Does this really, even if they do end up in relegation, speak to the level of team it actually is and almost the professionalism of the players to be able to focus in when it's crunch time?
Yeah, I love the fact that they fight right up until the whistle. I really do. That's one of the things that I really like about W7M is that they're not afraid to go at it right up until the bitter end. And that's something that they certainly displayed today. It was a game that, you know, albeit we've not seen a lot of FURIA on Villa, it was a little bit of a surprise to end up there. W7M, they had a clear game plan today, and that's what carried them through.
Well, that's the important thing. Let's learn a little bit about that game plan, because we do have Panico here for an interview. Panico, how are you feeling after that matchup?
Hello guys, I'm feeling good, but we had to get this win, you know. There's no other way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's close between you guys at the moment. Obviously, you and Santos now only 1 point in it. Are you feeling confident going into this weekend that you can, you know, get above Santos and avoid relegation?
I think so. We need to win one more game or make it a point because we won against them. So don't care if we tie because we won. Yeah.
I like that way of thinking. Look, I did mention then during our little segment waiting for you to get in how we often see teams down at the bottom of the standings. They're teams that really don't perform well under pressure, but it seemed very different with you guys. Are you a squad where when you're in crunch time and you know that there's the potential that if this goes wrong, it's all over? Do you think that that's where you thrive?
I mean, we changed the lineup 3 times this year, and this lineup we got now, we have everything we need. Just need time to get the things on the way, and we're gonna start winning matches.
Panico, it leads in quite nicely to what I wanted to ask you about Kai's being brought in. He seems to be having much more of an impact now toward the end of this stage than he did at the start. Are you guys really enjoying sort of developing that teamwork together?
Yes, we are working like 12 hours a day, and we're trying our best to stay here.
I mean, look, you're doing an amazing job, and I hope to see you again soon and hopefully going into the future. Panico, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Well, game number 1 is down, and it was an absolute marathon of a match. It could have gone either way at any time, but we're going to have to set that by the wayside because game 2 is getting underway shortly. Before it does, we're going to take a short break, so don't go